Okay, so now let's try some Chapter 10 problems. I got the 9 uploaded. So let's look at number 3 from Chapter 10. So this is page 292, Chapter 10, Financial Planning Problems. And let's look at the number 3 first. It says, Larry and Lori, how cute, have found a home and made a $125,000 offer that has been accepted. They make a down payment of 10%. The bank charges a loan origination fee of 1% of the loan in points of 1.5%. That's also based on the loan amount. Other fees include a $25 application fee, a $250 appraisal fee, and $350 for title search and insurance. We talked about all those things in our Chapter 10 notes. How much cash will Larry and Lori need at closing? This is the depressing part. This is when you buy a house and you realize that, even when you thought you did okay with the offer, an enormous amount of cash is necessary at closing. So, okay, $125,000 times 10%, that's pretty easy, right? That's the amount that they have to bring just for the down payment, which is $12,500. Okay, that's the down payment. But that's not everything. There's going to be thousands of dollars more here added on. So when you think about the down payment, you think, oh, well, that's what I owe as a buyer right up front, but there's more. So first of all, now the loan amount is going to be for not the whole balance, not the whole $125,000, because you paid $12,500 down. That means that the loan that you're taking out is $112,500. All right. So now when we pay the origination fee of 1%, we have to just multiply $112,500 times 1%, right? And that gives us $1,125. That's the loan origination fee. You also have to take that same amount, the $112,500, and apparently in this example, you've paid points to lower your rate, so you have to multiply the loan amount by 1.5% in this case, and I got to go to the calculator for that one just to make sure I can't just move the decimal places. So let's say 112,500 times 0.015 is $1,687.50. So it's $1,687.50. Okay, that's the points. All right. Now we're getting there, but there's more. But wait, there's more. So other fees include a $25 application fee, a $250 appraisal fee, and a $350 title insurance and search fee. So you have to also add $25. That's for the application. $250 for the appraisal. So I guess I better clarify. And $350 for title, search and insurance. Now you have to add up all of those, right? So the down payment, the $12,500, is not the end by any means. So let's go here and say down payment $12,500, okay, plus $1,125 plus $1,687.50, okay, plus 25 plus 250 plus 350, add it all together, $15,937.50. Pretty good chunk of change, right? Almost $16,000, and you're only going 10% down on a $125,000 house. Closing is shockingly expensive, and of course, if you buy a more expensive house, these things in percentage terms go up proportionally. So that's the amount necessary. All right. Let's try number 4 real quick here now. Lloyd and Jean are considering a home requiring a $75,000 mortgage. The 30-year payments are $498.97. The 15-year payments are $674.12. What's the difference? This is just like the car one with the different loan possibilities for maturities last chapter. All you got to do is multiply the payment amount. So $498.97. That's a smaller amount, but in the 30-year case, you have to make 360 of these payments. Whereas in the 15-year case, you only have to make 180 payments of $674.12. Now, obviously, you're going to end up paying a lot more interest with the with the first alternative, with the 30-year, the longer-term mortgage. That's not surprising. That's how it's supposed to work. But again, there are some caveats to why it isn't quite as bad as this sounds. So here's $179,629.20. And remember, this was a $75,000 house. $75,000 house, and you pay over $100,000 in interest. But again, that's the first caveat. The first caveat is these are not all present value dollars. So to act like some of these dollars that you're paying in year 20, in year 25, in year 30 are as painful or as equivalent to these year 0 dollars, that's bunk. We know that's not really the case. So to just compare the interest amounts that you pay is a little unfair. It's a little misleading and makes it seem like the 30-year loan is really bad. And then also remember the mortgage deductibility on your taxes of interest, right? And then finally, on top of that, the investing that you could do, like we talked about in my slides here. If you can, if you have a mortgage rate low, 4 or 5%, I think you're better off taking the money if you're disciplined and investing it, because over time you'll make more than 4 or 5%. There's $121,341.60. That's the total amount paid on this house if you do loan. So copying that down, I got $121,341.60. Obviously, you pay a lot more interest in the top one, but again, it's disingenuous to act like all of those dollars are the same. So this is kind of overstating it for the sake of fear. When I subtract those two, I get $58,287. Yes, that's a lot more interest that you pay in the 30-year mortgage, but if I had a low rate, it wouldn't bother me that much because a lot of those dollars, all of those dollars, come in year 16 through year 30. All right, but that is the answer. That is how much more in interest you pay for number 4. All right, let's try something different. Let's try number 9, refinancing. So Doug and Lynn have a house that they bought 3 years ago. They have a mortgage payment of $601.69. Interest rates have fallen, and they can lower their mortgage to $491.31 if they refinance. That's exactly the kind of thing that we were talking about in our slides, and it has been very common in recent years with super low interest rates. What would their annual savings be if they refinanced? Now, as a little side, it's not as simple as just subtracting the numbers. You got to keep in mind that there are some tax savings to mortgage interest, and they're going to be giving up 15% of whatever they save effectively in tax. So for number 9, you can just take their monthly payments of $601.69, right? 12 of those in a year. This is the old rate, and then the new rate is $491.31 a year. All right, let's multiply both of those by 12 and see what we get. So 601.69 times 12 is 72.20 and 28 cents. Excuse me, 72.20, 28. That's how much they pay in mortgage payments in a year on their old deal, and now they save. Excuse me, now they're down to 58.95 and 72 cents. So 58.95, 72. The difference between those two looks like they're savings at first. $13.24 and 56 cents. It's got every number in there from 1 to 6. It's like a die, right? Whoop, $13.24 and 56. That's the difference. But remember, they don't get to keep all of that. 15% of that difference is effectively tax savings that they give up. So you can either multiply this by 0.85, which is what I would do, or if you look in your solutions, you'll see that what they do is multiply that figure by 15% and then subtract it from 13.24. That's the same thing as multiplying by 0.85. So to me, I just multiply by 0.85, and I get that their real savings is $1,125.88. If that was too fast for you, if you didn't like it, then again, what I mean is you can multiply the 13.2456 by 15%, right? And that's the savings, right? That's the difference between the two, but 15% of that is just tax that they now are not given a break on, and you can then subtract that amount from 13.24, and you'll get the same bottom line, which is $11.25 and 88 cents. All right, so that's that one. All right, let's do two more, both with the calculator, the time value of money calculator, because we say we haven't done too many of those for a while, and it is important. So this is about Paul and buying a house. This is number 11. It's on page 293. Paul wants to purchase his own home. He currently lives in an apartment, and his rent is being paid by his parents. Paul's parents have informed him they will not pay his mortgage payments. Now, that sounds kind of crazy. You'd think they'd want to help him with the mortgage if they were going to pay for the apartment, but the whole point for the problem set up that way is to make it clean when we do the calculations. So Paul has no savings. That's also to keep things clean. But he can save $400 per month. The home he desires costs $100,000, and his broker informs him a down payment of 20% would be required. If Paul can earn 8% on his savings, how long will it take him to accumulate the required down payment? Now, here's the deal, right? He's looking to get 20% of $100,000. I think we can all handle that one, yes? 20% of $100,000 is $20,000. So that's the amount he's shooting for to buy the house. That's the future value that he needs to buy the house. How long will it take him, N is a question mark, if he can make 8% on his money, right? And he puts in $400, he can throw $400 at this a month. Well, there's a couple adjustments here. You can't just run the numbers yet. First of all, that payment amount, that's negative. That's money he has to set aside in order to accumulate this final amount at the end. So to be able to solve for the n correctly in here, you have to make sure that you have one of these two quantities positive, one negative. So that's why we do that. The other thing is that since this is a monthly amount, the payments that he's setting aside are monthly, then we have to change our interest rate into monthly terms. So that 8% annually is now 0.6667 monthly. And then the n that we crank out of here when we get an answer is going to be in monthly terms as well. So let's go to the calculator here and let's plug it in. So I'm going to go in my financial calculator. I'm going to say apps, finance, solver. This is going to be, we don't know how many months yet, but 8 divided by 12, if you didn't scroll off it, it'll put all those decimals in there for you. There's no present value in this problem. There's a payment that he sets aside, so it's a cash outflow in terms of him setting it aside in order to accumulate $20,000. How long will it take him to get there? 43.29 months. All right, so N is 43.29 months. Do that out there. It's about, what, 3.5 years? Okay, you know, let's see the problem here, the real life problem with this one. Do you think the house is going to stay on the market for 3.5 years? Do you think it's going to stay on the market for the same price for 3.5 years? Yeah, me neither. So, okay, in terms of running the numbers to figure this out, that's a decent thing to do. It's a fun calculation, and we got it right there. But, yeah, there's some real-world discrepancies. All right, last problem. Let's try number 10 on top of this. Or excuse me, number 10. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was 11. So I said 9 there. I apologize. That was actually 11 that we just did. Let's talk about 12 real fast. Okay? So 12 says, okay, Paul finances the remaining costs at a rate of 9% over 30 years. What are his resulting monthly mortgage payments? Okay, well, let's see here. So he can still save $400 a month for the indefinite future, right? He finances the remaining costs of the home after the down payment at a rate of 9% over 30 years. So he's down to $80,000, right? So now he owes $80,000. That's what he borrowed from the bank, from the mortgage company there, whoever it was. If he's going to have this loan for 30 years, that's 360 payments. His loan terms are 9% a month. So 9%, excuse me, a year. So 9/12 is the monthly rate, or 0.75. Solve for the payment, and we'll get a negative amount here. So go back to your calculator. Say N is 360. The interest rate is 9/12, or 0.75. And he borrows $80,000. The answer then is, whoops, I did future value, excuse me. sorry. It's 80,000 that he, man, I'm trying to go too fast because I know I'm out of time to get this